When somebody joins a company to work, their experience within the first 1, 10, 30, 60, 90 days will have a dramatic impact on whether they stay there and whether they're successful.
Today on Law Next, we are recording live from the ABA Tech Show in Chicago, where I'll be speaking with Vicki Huff Eckert, U.S. and Global New Ventures and Innovation Leader for PwC. This is Bob Ambrogi, and you're listening to Law Next, the podcast that features the innovators and entrepreneurs who are driving what's next in law. We'll get to today's interview in just a moment, but first, let's hear from the sponsors who generously support Law Next. And now, on to this week's interview. Vicki Huff Eckert, thank you for joining me today.
It's a pleasure to be here, Bob.
It's nice to meet you, and we are literally just meeting, although I did just get to sit and listen to you speak during luncheon, so that was interesting to do. Let's start with what you do. You're an innovation officer. What does that mean? What's the focus of what you do?
Sure. From a standpoint of what I am responsible for at the firm, we're looking at really what has been happening in industry and how we are responding for our clients. And my role is focused on how we use technology to provide our services in a new form. And so we are looking at how we evolve into software and product offerings, that we take our IP that's been around for years, package it, and make it available to our clients.
So you're creating products to deliver services to clients through technology.
That's right. Everybody in the world wants to do software as a service. I'm doing service as a software.
Yeah, okay. Service, I like that. So it's not about, is it about at all changing internally how you service clients?
Well, it definitely has an impact on that because it is very much of a different business model than our traditional service model.
Yeah.
But what I would say that you find is our clients love the ability to get our IP and have that access to it, but at the same time also have the backup plan to be able to call our professional staff for help when they need it.
Right.
And so, yes, the software piece is very new and very different, but our traditional services are obviously still there and backing up.
Yeah. So we'll talk about Insights Officer a little bit later, but can you give me an example of some of the other products that you created?
For sure. We have products in our Workforce of the Future offerings. We have tax products. We have cyber products. And so an example in the workforce side is we have an onboarding product, which is helping clients, that, especially those that are in people-intensive organizations, with their onboarding and management of people. And it's a people experience platform. So we know that when somebody joins a company to work, their experience within the first 1, 10, 30, 60, 90 days will have a dramatic impact on whether they stay there and whether they're successful. Yeah. So we have built out an experience platform as an example that we license to clients as part of change management programs that they then can use in that regard.
Right. And are your clients are mostly larger corporations? Would that be a fair statement, or?
No, actually, indeed, we actually are really focused on a small and medium business as well as large corporations. Yeah. So, you know the firm, PwC, obviously. We are very popular amongst very large corporations and have our traditional business. We've evolved, and we do have software offerings that we bring into those markets, but we've also come up with a set of products that are offered to SMB marketplace. Yeah. We see it as a new area and a new scope for us that we are testing and trying and finding a lot of great success with. Yeah.
And when you think about the concept of innovation, when you think about your role as being involved in trying to help innovate the delivery of services, what does that mean to you? What's your goal through innovation?
Well, I think there's a few things, right? So one of it is trying new business models, and part of the reason to do the technology business models is we see the world digitizing, not just PwC. Yeah. And so how we have digital businesses allows us to connect in with other software vendors, with other industries in different ways that will provide better services over the long term. Yeah. Within the firm and our traditional business, we're also looking at innovation on what we're offering, how we're doing it, and what the value is we're bringing. And so we are looking at upskilling our talent. We are looking at automating a lot of what we do and making it very data intensive and providing deliverables in a much more digital format, amongst a lot of other things too. Yeah. And, it all goes, Bob, with a focus of how do we grow and evolve, right? So we're not just focusedly looking at automation and how we actually are changing our business and trying to do cost savings, but this is a growth strategy. And in fact, it's paid off quite well.
Yeah.
We continue to grow quite a bit. Our people love it. And obviously, it's much more profitable to the extent you can leverage technology.
So, I mean, as a growth strategy, is it because this is what customers want, this is what clients want, or is it just that it helps you deliver things more efficiently and therefore, get more done and accomplish more?
Well, I think all of it is what customers want, and because clients love when we're more efficient, right?
Yeah.
And so there obviously has an impact that's positive to them as well. But when you look at really what we're focused on, we're absolutely doing a lot of market studies and what they're looking for. And we find that the customer reaction or the client reaction to our ability to expand the value, expand the analytics, and provide things in a more digital format is well received in most places.
Yeah.
So there's a pent up demand for sure.
Yeah. So you are a CPA by training, right?
Yes.
And how did you come to be? What's your background? How did you come to be doing this at
It's a great
PwC?
question. Yeah, so I am a CPA by background. I've been with the firm now for 29 years, and I was an auditor. One day in time, turned into consultant, and I, as you heard, moved to Silicon Valley in '95. I've been serving the tech industry and specifically...
Probably a good time to buy real estate in Silicon Valley in 95, right?
Yeah, unfortunately, I didn't buy till 2002.
Okay.
Still wasn't bad,
right.
but the 7 years, every 7 years is an impact, right? But when I moved out, it was a great time, as you heard me mention earlier in my comments, because it's such an innovative time with the bubble that happened, right, with the dot-com bubble and then the burst and what's happened since. But so I got the great opportunity of sitting in the middle of that industry. And I jokingly refer to myself as the true unicorn of Silicon Valley because nobody else I know has been in the same company for 29 years, right?
Yeah.
And I've had lots of opportunities to leave, and some I kick myself for not taking, some, but what I've seen over the years in serving software, now SaaS companies, is an evolution of an industry that first went into multiple verticals and is globalized, and it's been an amazing ride.
Yeah.
And 3 years ago, Tim Ryan, our senior partner, asked me to take this role on, and it was great because I got to sit on the other side and apply a lot of what I learned.
Take a second to think about the best-run law firms in the country. They consistently handle more cases in less time while spending fewer hours toiling over tasks like billing and client intake. My case was designed to help even the busiest law firms achieve peak efficiency. Through automation of routine administrative duties, templatized workflows, and centralized calendars, My Case makes short work of your day-to-day processes and keeps your staff on task. Visit mycase.com to learn more and start a free trial. That's mycase.com. So I imagine, I know you've had some involvement and oversight in the development of Insights Officer. Mm-hmm. So I imagine you've also gotten some opportunity to get some insights into the legal world in general. And I don't know how alien of a world that is to you or not. But I wonder in the course of that whether you've seen parallels at all between the professional services world that you're used to and in the professional services world that I live in over here in the legal world. Yeah,
no, absolutely. I've seen a lot of parallels. And when you look at the law firms and you look at the accounting firms, when you look at innovation, right, and you're thinking about what's happening in both industries, there's three different components. There's what you're working on, and we're now working on cyber clients crypto clients and other things, right? And so how the world around you is changing. There's how you're doing it, and then there's how you do your business. And all three provide a tremendous amount of opportunity for our professionals and our firms to grow. Within the legal community, you see that whether it's in e-discovery or you see it within your ability to do advanced analytics. Same thing with us. Within the case matters you're working on, you're now defining laws for privacy. Privacy was something that we talked about 20 years ago, but nobody knew what it meant.
Right.
and you think about what you can do in your operations, which is obviously where Insights Officer focuses, and there's a lot of upside there. So in all three cases, I see very clear similarities between the law firms and the accounting firms, but there's also different things that are impacting the industries that have different pulls on them too. Mm-hmm. So we talked, for example, at lunch about the judicial system and legislative system. Yeah. And, for I think the legal industry, and you'll appreciate this far more than me, to really advance, that system needs to be upgraded. Right. And for us, I look at the technologies in corporate America and middle America. They're starting to migrate, but the money and the investments to date have been much more in consumer technologies. Yeah. And I'm seeing that start to get pointed towards both the technologies under enterprise in both accounting and law. Yeah. And I think that we are just in the early stages of what will be a very intensive B2B innovation cycle for the next 20 years. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think the legal profession still feels that it's very much in the early stages of this, even though, I've been writing about technology for 25 years now, and there was plenty of technology before that. But the legal profession is notoriously resistant to change. It's a system built on tradition, and that makes the professionals not thrilled with the idea of evolving or changing the way they've always done things. You're right. What happens, and I'm sure there's going to be parallels with the accounting world. Oh, absolutely. And I think when you look, 100% parallels. Yeah. We're not exactly the risk takers, right? Yeah. The world doesn't want us to be. Right. We're the conservators of economies, and so with that role, taking risks isn't something we won't be leading on. Although we're starting to. And to your point, I'll take AI as an example. We use AI aggressively in the firm, but we call it boring AI because the things that we're doing are just the very first step. We can, the things that we can do that are in our ideas and on what we'd like to do in the roadmap, are years out just because there's so much opportunity just with what we can do in some basic automations that our staff now love because it's helping them save time and helping them have a better experience. So that's exciting. When you look across the industry, I think that in both cases, both legal and accounting, though, there's a lot of upside in its early days. Yeah. So what challenges does that pose for you in your role? Are you having to be a sales agent for change and innovation? Oh, I think it's a great question. Yes, with some audiences, and I was going to comment earlier, as you know, it's generational, right? Yeah. And we were talking about this. Yeah, I don't buy that. We were talking about it at lunch, and I think for somebody who can pull together a podcast, you're doing pretty great. So I can understand why you don't buy it, but there is a lot of that generational pull from the younger generation. Yeah. A big factor for PwC is with the investments we're making in digitally upskilling the younger generation, they're pulling the rest of the firm. Yeah. But there's still a change management factor. And I always remind everybody, when in the 90s, when I first started working, email came out, and I always say, don't be the guy that made you print the emails to read them. Right. Yeah. And, that is evolving into a very different type of world right now, whether it's social media or whether it's automations. Yeah. But, that I do think there's a generational pull that the millennials are bringing that is going to change both industries. Yeah. There was actually just a survey. I think you might have seen it. It was on law.com this week or something on tech adoption, which actually came to the conclusion that it's less generational than you think in legal, in the legal space. Although, there are plenty of the stereotypical lawyers who are still printing out the emails and all having their secretaries print out the emails. But there are also a lot of law students who are coming out of law school going into the profession who they know how to Google, and they know how to use Facebook or something or Instagram, but they're not proficient in more sophisticated uses of technology in the practice. So, it's not just in the defense of us older people here. Yeah, it's not just generational. Hey, look, and I think that gets back to the investments, right? Yeah, and it gets back to the venture capital community and where has it been pointed? Yeah, I think the technologies are there. Yeah, have they been put together and packaged in a way that are easy to adopt, like we have for the consumer side of our life? And I do believe the reason why I'm bullish on this, we're at the start of 20 years, is there's so much upside from a business case standpoint that you're going to see it coming. Yeah. We'll get back to my interview in just a moment,
But first, let's take a break to hear from the sponsors who generously support Law Next. And now, let's continue this week's interview. You're here because of Insights Officer, which is a product that PwC released, was it a year ago? Has it been a year?
Just about. Almost,
I keep looking at the silent voice over here because there's a third person sitting here listening to us. Yeah, my boss, who I first met at one of these conferences maybe a year ago or so. But I guess one of the things that was interesting to me when Insights Officer first came out was its focus on the small firm market, because I kind of would have thought that if you were going to come out with a product for the legal market, it might have been focused on the larger firm segment. Yep. So what was the thinking behind focusing on that part of the market?
Yeah, no, look, Insights Officer is part of our first generation of software products from the firm. And we wanted to focus on a market where we could test a couple of things. And intentionally, by the way, I picked the small end. First, we want to test our ability just to be able to do software, right? So when you're in your first generation of products going to large, complex organizations, it's the technology environments are far more complicated than they are for smaller businesses. Yeah. And so the investment in our ability to cut our teeth in that environment, the success rate was going to be too low. So we wanted to de-risk it. So we went after smaller businesses, more simple environments, not just law firms. So that was the first thing. Yeah. The second thing after that was then really looking at how do we test not just our ability to do software, but to test the ability for our brand to extend into different markets. And so with technology, we actually can extend our brand and extend the IP of PwC into a small and medium-sized business, which to the extent you can prove that use case, that's a humongous opportunity for us as a firm. Yeah. And I'm not saying that's tomorrow, next day, but that is part of this. And what we've seen is the success that, yes, the brand extends beyond our traditional market. Right. And so that's something we're continuing to explore on what to do with. Yeah. And then lastly, having this base helps us learn what we don't. We think we know. We think we've done this stuff for ourselves, and that's what we're bringing to the legal industry. Yeah. But do we really know the legal industry? So it's allowed us also to get to know the industry.
So what was the need that you saw in developing this product? What did you think the gap was in a small, medium market that needed to be filled through this product?
Well, I'll quote the gentleman who runs the venture, T.C. Whitaker, when bringing big business advantage to small business, which I love that concept. And what we heard over and over and over again is the inability for small and medium-sized businesses to be able to properly get a sense of where they are from a business standpoint. What are they missing? What's the opportunity? Are they competitive in pricing? Are they competitive in operations and in utilization? Yeah. And it's easier when you're in larger businesses because the information's out there and there's an awful lot. But in the smaller business, the medium-sized businesses, it's not as available. Yeah. Or if it is, it's not as trusted. Yeah. And so using, again, the key of our heritage as an audit firm and our history and trust, we wanted to make sure we could bring together a package solution that can provide that insight, but make sure it's trusted. Yeah. And so to do that, that's how we ended up going into Insights Officer. And as you know, we have our automated bookkeeping solution. Yeah. We're pretty excited about because we can see our ability to take the accounting, get the data, and provide the insights. So. Yeah.
I think, another difference between the sort of the smaller firm and the larger firm market may be lawyers' familiarity with the concept of sort of tracking the metrics around their financials and using KPIs and those sorts of things. Have you found there has to be education around this product? or
Absolutely. You know your industry. Yes. And I would say it's pretty funny because the first generation of the product, the team came to me with a massive amount of insights in the development and build. And I actually encouraged them to cut it back, to be transparent, mostly because of the development costs. Yeah. Thank God we did, because we're finding even with what we have right now, there's a training and a learning, and the attorneys love it. Yeah. And it's interesting. They're all getting different value points off of it, but there is a bit of education of teaching them almost a mini MBA once they have this information. And we're thinking about how we package those insights up and get those to them so that they can take it even to the next level.
Yeah. And it occurs to me, I haven't actually asked you to describe what the product does. So maybe you could just give us a quick 30 seconds on
no, absolutely. So Insights Officer is an automated bookkeeping application that on also Insights dashboard product. And so what we do is we come in, we work with small law firms. Currently, we're moving up into the medium size, and we work on taking over their back office, automating it, and providing them with financial information every single month, as well as a set of insights. And so we're doing a couple things. We're helping those lawyers not have to spend their Saturday mornings doing their books because we want and are focused on how we do that real time through technologies that work off of their phone. And then the second thing is also making sure, as we were just talking about, that they're getting insights. The managing partners can take their businesses to the next level, right? And so those are the two components, but that's how the product works.
So if I hear what you're saying, this is a little bit of a test for you in terms of testing a market, testing a product.
It is, but Insights Officer has been so successful, it's more than a test.
Well, that's what I was going to ask. What have been kind of the challenges of bringing it to market, and how's it gone?
It's actually gone quite well. So lots of challenges when you're launching a new business, as anybody can imagine. But when you look at it, the market has been very responsive because, as to quote one of my partners, to get bookkeeping from PwC at an affordable fee, who the heck wouldn't do it, right? And so that part's great, and then throw on the insights. And so when you look at it, the market has been very positive in responding. Having said that, we have our standards and our quality, and so we're working through how we can do that as efficiently and how we actually onboard clients faster and more effectively. And that's the pieces that we're learning, but we're getting there. And we're pretty excited from a standpoint of just how the past, frankly, 6 months since we really launched the market has gone. And now we're thinking about how we double down and look more broadly, both within going upsize in legal and more expanding as well.
And does that mean expanding into other products in legal, or expanding that product in broader directions?
Both. Based upon the response. But I would say, to be very clear, first legal. We think there's a lot of opportunity that we can do within legal to just continue to expand and increase the insights that we're bringing to attorneys, as well as the size of the firms that we're serving, to your point from earlier. But the other thing is, we know that we can expand our offerings. So right now we're focused on, as you know, bookkeeping and insights, but to the extent as the look at the roadmap, how we start thinking about partnership tax, personal income tax, human capital solutions. We think there's a lot we can do as a firm. There's a lot of IP and technology we're sitting on. To the extent we can package that up and make it available at an affordable price for this market, we're very bullish.
You talked earlier about some of the obstacles that the legal profession faces in adopting change, and courts, legislatures being up there among them. Another major one in the United States is the regulatory environment for legal professionals. We have a tightly regulated profession. You work in a tightly regulated profession.
Yet another area I can be very empathetic to.
Another area can be empathetic to. But there's a lot of talk, and I don't know to what extent you follow this, but there's a lot of activity now in the United States around changing the rules, possibly rewriting the rules in ways that would allow organizations that haven't traditionally provided legal services to perhaps provide legal services. And knowing that PwC in other parts of the world is very much involved in providing legal services. Is that something that you're looking at or thinking about in the United States?
So no, as you know, we are obviously a law firm outside of the United States, but when you look at the rules from a standpoint of how we serve our clients, it's not just a law. So you know that we obviously are prohibited from providing legal services, but it's also part of the standards from an AICPA standpoint of our industry and what we can do and cannot do. Now, when you look, that's for our regulated clients, and what we want to focus on is providing the best services possible. And in order to do that, we're going to make sure we're abiding not just by the laws, but by our professional standards. So I don't see...
So not just legal... not just the legal professional regulations are inhibiting you, but also
absolutely.
The regulated industry standards that you have to abide by.
Right. So we are an SEC, we are a certified firm under the U.S. SEC.
Yeah.
And the SEC does not allow us to provide legal services. And then outside of our public clients within the AICPA, if we're providing audit services, we're not allowed to also advocate on behalf of our clients. We can do certain administrative things, which frankly we do today.
Right.
It's not,
Yeah.
But yeah, so there's a lot more than just what the American Bar Association and your industry have as guidelines. We have very strict guidelines, and those guidelines are what we do as a firm, not just what we're doing for specific clients.
Yeah.
And so, candidly, in our regulated world, that there's that. I'm not going to deny there's not an upside there. Yeah. But serving our clients and serving the capital markets of the United States, and making sure that we are abiding by that is our business.
That's enough to keep you busy for the time being.
So I would say I wouldn't worry about it right now.
Yeah, I'm not worried about it.
Yeah.
Some people are.
Yeah, no, I know. I understand. But, when you really peel back the onion and appreciate all of that, I think we've got other fish to fry, and we have, most importantly, clients to serve.
Yeah. I mean, I wonder if there is loosening of the regulations in legal, if that opens other opportunities for you in terms of products that you can be delivering, if not directly services.
It could be, but to me, I think that when you look at it, as I've learned with products, you need to have the right distribution, right? So, when you look at Insights Officer, obviously our brand and our heritage and trust really helps us with intelligence and with bookkeeping. When you go, there might be some other products, obviously, and we have thought about this, that go more into the legal side of the business, into operations, but we would want to do that based upon feedback that we're hearing from the law firms. We know they're our clients in this case. And so, to the demands there, we'll think about it. Yeah.
So what's ahead for you, for PwC, in the legal world? Kind of just since that's where my audience is. Obviously, you're working on a whole lot of stuff, but thinking about the legal world and what you've done over the last 6 months to a year, and what you're looking forward to, what's on the roadmap?
So we're continuing to work and innovate on Insights Officer. We're expanding it in the marketplace. We're very excited about that. We've had a phenomenal launch from a product standpoint, and we're looking at how we actually more broaden the offering. And what I mean by that is get it to a different level of scalability and start going a little bit upscale from a upsize market, and not huge, but still stay within the small and medium business space, but a little bit bigger of law firms than we've initially focused with. Yeah. So that's the short term. In the midterm and the longer term, it's continuing to build out Insights, as well as expanding from a standpoint into providing tax and other advice via software applications.
Well, Vicki Huff Eckert, it's been very nice to talk to you, and thank you for taking the time to do this.
I enjoyed it as well, Bob. Thanks a lot for having me here.
Thank you very much. That's it for today's program. Thank you to Vicki Huff Eckert from PwC for joining me for today's conversation. Thanks also to the sponsor who made today's show possible, MyCase, with thousands of customers as a trusted practice management solution, helping lawyers across the country run organized, efficient, and successful law firms. You can try MyCase for free today at mycase.com. I also want to remind our regular listeners that if you like Law Next, you can help support the show by visiting our Patreon page at patreon.com/lawnext and pledging a small amount in support. A big shout out to our top level supporter at Patreon, John Grant, founder of Agile Attorney Consulting at agileattorney.com. And last but not least, thanks to Ben Ambrogi for producing and editing the show. That's it for this week. This is Bob Ambrogi.